Bonjour à tout le monde. Bonjour to another beautiful episode of On the Canvas. And this time we are on the canvas with one of Undiscovered Canvas artists, which is Giggs Kgole, coming to us all the way from South Africa. Good evening, Giggs. How are you? Bonjour, Kutupu.
Bonjour, Sissi. How are you?
I'm good. Comment ça va?
Ça va bien.
How are you handling the lockdown as an artist? How are things going on your side?
Well, for me, it's been kind of tricky, given the fact that I'm studying in Italy. So just before the lockdown started, I took a trip to Paris just to do some research on my upcoming exhibition, which was meant to be in Monaco in May. And then when I was in Paris, then the lockdown happened in Italy, and it happened so fast that unfortunately I couldn't fly back to my studio and my apartment where all my things, my belongings and materials are. So the next best thing was to stay in Paris at the time. And then unfortunately, Paris was then now, as you see, going under lockdown. So then I had to leave and come back to South Africa, and it was the best decision I could make at the time. And then I've just been in quarantine back here in South Africa, like from the beginning of March, pretty much. So the lockdown's been hard in terms of like trying to gain inspiration from like walking around the city or visiting people. You can't do that, so you're gonna have to like just be confined to like your little space in your studio and really figure things from there.
I know. Well, for those of you who do not know, I and Giggs had an exhibition that was scheduled this coming May. In fact, during the Grand Prix in Monaco, we were going to have the first sort of exhibition of Giggs Kgole. So for us, it is a huge knockdown that we can't continue with that. But luckily for us, we have postponed it for next year May during the Grand Prix. So that's quite good news, no? Not everything is lost there.
Exactly, like they say, good things come to those who wait. So
exactly, but so I've been working with Giggs Kgole for the past 2 years now. Giggs is a multidisciplinary visual artist from South Africa who is currently at the moment studying in Italy. He's studying art and also communication. Giggs, we started working 2 years ago. In fact, you are the first recipient of the Undiscovered Canvas Residency, which saw you coming and living in France last year for 6 months. Within that period, you were also chosen as one of the 200 young South Africans making a difference in breaking barriers by the prestigious Mail and Guardian newspaper. You were also chosen in London as one of the young finalists prize by the Cynthia Colbeck Gallery. So you've had really a lot of international exposure. And that is also due to the fact that you have this very, very particular technique that you use, which is here in Europe, everybody is like going gaga over it, in Africa as well. And that is the 3D technique that you developed. Now, for a lot of people, they will think that they understand what 3D is, but you had to start from scratch and understand and really go in and research what 3D was to be able to develop your signature painting, which is what we are having here at the back. But can you explain to us, take us step by step into how you developed this technique and how you even got about to know this technique?
Yeah, it's crazy to think about it. Like the birth of this technique was like 8 years ago when I was 15 years old in grade 9. I wanted to build a sculpture, but unfortunately, I was on a scholarship. And now I was in a private school, and even though being on a scholarship, you don't really have enough resources because like things like art, your art materials and everything for school, you still provide that for yourself. So with that little disadvantage of not being able to like have the money to gather up materials to build a sculpture, I decided to then look at the drawing board and sort of see like what sculptures entail. So doing research around that. And then as a 9th grader, I was sitting on the computer lab, and then I was searching sculptures and then just synonyms. And then as I was looking through all of that, I realized that there's certain words like anaglyph, stereoscopes, illusion and deception, movement, and 3D space came along. And then I started thinking, oh, 3D spaces, movies. I want to create a 3D movie. How about I do that for my ninth grade project? So what really kind of gave me like the final push and the final boost to really kind of look into doing research about 3D was the fact that I took all my research to my art teacher at the time. And then I spoke to her and I told her, like, look, I have a problem. Here's the problem. But I know that I can solve this problem with creating something else. And then what I was thinking of 3D movies. And then I spoke to her about, I was also thinking about creating goggles, which you could flip through film and watch like movies, because they had that back in the 50s and the 60s, as well as late 80s. And then as soon as I mentioned the goggles, something kind of like sparked up in her. She was just like all of a sudden like filled with joy and excitement. And then she was telling me about like how she was growing up. They used to spend so many hours in the field, switching goggles, switching films, and then just seeing that joy and happiness like coming out of like her eyes, her body, and the way she was expressing how she loved this little experience just from a little box. I knew that I struck gold there, and I needed to create something and create works which will sort of bring the same sort of joy and happiness for my generation and the generations to come. So ninth grade, I then started doing research on 3D movies and sculptures and photography. By the time I was in matric, I really understood how to like make 3D movies with polarized glasses, and as well as 3D movies with the old school glasses, which is the cyan and the red lenses. And then, yeah, so now having that was great. So I created, for my matric project, I created a 3D movie, which was talking about my initiation back when I was 12 years old, living in Limpopo. And then one of my teachers was just saying like, you know, this is very profound. Like this experience is so amazing and so profound. But unfortunately, it's on a USB stick. How do I, as a person now, invest into this? Because if you give me the USB stick, somebody else can just copy it. So what's so special and unique about that? And then that got me thinking a lot. And then it was only when the following year, after my matric, I took a gap year and I had the opportunity to intern for William Kentridge, and then who later then became my mentor. And then what I realized when I was doing research on William was that I realized that he was into theater and filmmaking before art. So then I started being interested in terms of like the other mediums of art and film and filmmaking, and because I had already made a couple of films myself. And then I realized that some of his films were then turned into artworks. What was stopping me from turning my films into a still image? And then that's how the idea of like having the 3D artworks as printed original works then came about. But then I realized that the techniques I was using to develop the film had to be different from the techniques from photography. So then I just brushed up on my photography skills. And then after brushing up on my photography skills, I then learned how to like transfer the edited image into a print, and then it's finished off with a painting. And then because you have to pick certain colors that work with the eye. And then boom, we had the 3D tab works in probably the end of 2016. And then I realized one thing was a problem. When I was showing it to a couple of friends, I pretty much showed the artworks to 100 people because I just wanted to see people's experience and their reactions. And then from those 100 people, I didn't get the same experience and the reaction from everybody. And then I realized that, wow, okay, some people are actually colorblind. Some people are visually impaired. And then taking in those factors, I then needed to like develop a new technique of sort of now editing these images. And then something else hit me was the fact, wow, I'd love to show these works in galleries and museums all over the world. And as a 19-year-old kid, that was my plan. And then I realized that, but I would love to share that experience with people back in my village. So how do I do that? How do I create that? And then, because if I take a photo of it, it's not going to be 3D. But then if I edited certain elements of the works before it gets printed out and edited like a film, if somebody does take a photo of it, then they can view the 3D works. And then that way people can have the same experience sitting at home, either watching an interview or maybe reading a catalog of my works, which are 3D, and all they need to do is just own the simple, cheap classes, and they can get the full experience of the work, even though it's not the original work. So you need to be, and I think as artists, we need to be inclusive and forward-thinking in how we create our works and how our works are going to impact so many other people.
Fantastic. Now, as I said, you are a multidisciplinary artist. You're not only working on 3D, even though that is your signature style. You do a lot of collages, you do a lot of sculptures, and as you've already spoken earlier on, you also do a lot of film also. Now, Giggs, we don't have much time, unfortunately, but the one question that has been asked a lot was, last year you got to be in France for 6 months on the first residency that was created by Undiscovered Canvas. Within that residency, you lived in Vallauris, you worked in Vallauris, and we had 3 exhibitions, 2 in Cannes and 1 in London. And also you produced your first ceramic collection, and it was your first time really doing ceramic professionally, and you got to do that with an established French artist, 2 artists, Santos, Serge Dos Santos, and Chris Kranika Belange. Can you please explain to people that who are listening what it entailed for you? What are the lessons that you took from it, and what are the things that you took away from the experience?
I think that the experience overall, I have to say, was mind-blowing. I took away long-lasting new friendships with artists that I can call family right now, bonds which are going to last till I kick the bucket. Just being in Vallauris and just literally, and Vallauris being like the village where sort of Picasso was like starting to create like the last bit of his ceramic masterpieces, just walking down that history and just making my own history, being in the space and leaving my name and leaving my mark. I have to say it's like an opportunity of a lifetime. And these are like the skills that I learned from there, like something that nobody can ever take away from me. And I think it's only just, it has just opened doors for like a wide pool of like opportunities for people to start collecting Giggs Kgole art and investing in. Because like you said, it's not only just about the paintings. I'm a multi-visual artist, so adding ceramics into like my catalog of like masterpieces, I have to say is like an opportunity that I'm truly grateful for, Cici, that you have been able to provide to me, and also you're going to provide for other many artists who will come after me. And I just have to say, like, it's like you teach a man how to fish, like you're feeding him for life. So like that's been an experience of like somebody teaching me how to fish, and then I can now go back to my village in Limpopo, my village in South Africa, the village that I built in Italy, the village that I built in France, and teach other younger artists what it is about ceramics, just from learning from the masters who I learned from during my residency.
Super. Now, there's one thing that is very constant in your work, and that really marked a lot of people. It's been here in France, in Italy, in London, and that was, it's a saying that you have on most of your work, and that is, our ancestors did not die for us to be mediocre. Just finishing off this video, I would like us to explain what that means to you.
What it means is that I'm turning 23 years old on the 15th of, which is tomorrow technically.
Okay.
And with that, it's not happy birthday to me, it's happy birthday to my ancestors, because I wouldn't have been here had it not been for the countless lives that had to exist in order for me to be here at the very moment to talk to you guys and to talk to the person listening on the other side. Whoever you might be, you, the next great artist, the next great filmmaker, or just somebody who's really bored and scrolling through Instagram, whoever you are, we're not here by chance. And I think for me, it's important to really give that praise to my ancestors, because all those people needed to make certain decisions in order for my existence to happen. And then with that, I say I'm born through them. So I am all of them. And then that's why, like, they didn't die for me to just be mediocre. So I have to go for my and go for what I want. And this art thing has always been something that I wanted deep down in my heart. And just trying to be part of like one of Africa's greatest and being one of the world's best contemporary visual artists is only going to open doors for like other village boys and other village girls in Africa and the world. It's just that if you see somebody do it, you can believe that, yes, I can do it.
It's possible.
It's possible.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Giggs, for this opportunity and for chatting with us and giving us your insights and what is going on in your career at the moment.
Thank you for your time, Cesar.
Okay, have a good one.
You too.
Hold on.